Okay, a first look at the qidi. I'm gonna call it a kitty. I don't know how they pronounce that, but it is the qidi 560 Maule M7 micro bush plane, and I've got mine right here. But I've got a picture of it up on the screen so it's easier for you to see. I've already put it in the air a couple of times. I'll be posting those videos shortly. It's a great flying little plane. I had a lot of fun with it. I think at the price that it's selling at, last time I checked, when I first looked, it was $89.99, and they just put it on sale for $79.99. I posted that on our Facebook page, so I hope some of you took advantage of it, because I think even at $89.99, I think this little plane is a steal. You're going to have a blast with it. It comes in red, it comes in blue. I would order two, and then you can have a friend go fly with you. That's some pretty inexpensive fun. You'll notice on the screen, I have a picture of it up on the screen. You'll see that blue painter's tape on one prop. I know I've stressed this in the past, but I can't stress this enough, that make sure that you balance your props before you put your plane in the air. Now, I ran this up after I got everything assembled just to make sure everything was working, and I had a pretty good vibration coming out of the prop. So I put tape on the prop. Now it's nice and smooth. If you don't have a nice, smooth, balanced prop, you rob yourself of power, you rob yourself of flight time, and just think about that gyro, that vibration in that gyro constantly. So I know I've had a lot of comments about people who say, gyro's doing really weird things. You know, why would it be doing this? Well, did you balance your prop? Because if that gyro is constantly being vibrated, I mean, there's no way it's going to work right, correct? So always balance your prop. All right, this is one of the best built, probably the best built sub 100 gram plane that I've seen so far. They did not skimp on anything. Okay, it's very well thought out. It's very well made. I like it a lot. Okay, so let's go over the specs on this plane before I got a bunch of pictures I want to show you of close-ups of different things. All right, like I said, it comes in red, it comes in blue. It's made out of EPP foam, which is the most durable foam I've ever come across. The fuselage length is 37 centimeters, which is 14.5 inches. The wingspan is 51 centimeters, which is 20 inches. It states the all-up weight is 94 grams. Mine was 96 grams. So like I said, it's a sub 100 gram plane. The ESC is a 7 amp. It has a brushless 1504 4700 kV motor. The center shaft is 1.5 millimeters shaft. It comes with a prop adapter that brings the 1.5 millimeter up to 3 millimeter. It also comes with some prop sleeves, so you can use a prop that has a 5 millimeter hub with one of those spacers, so you can use a standard multi-rotor prop on this plane. So it's not a proprietary prop. You can use a standard prop on this plane. So I'm going to be testing it with many different props to see which one gives the best performance. Because in my experience, the stock prop is typically not the best prop for the best performance. Okay, but a 1504 4700 kV brushless motor, it's spinning an ABS prop. It's a 5 by 4.5, so a 50-45 prop, two-blade bullnose prop. That's quite a bit of pitch, you know, for that little motor, but it does a really good job. The servos that they put in it are not low puny 1.7 gram servos. They're not tiny 2 gram servos. They put 3.7 gram servos in this plane. Those servos are going to have plenty of torque to move those control surfaces without breaking a sweat. So like I said, they did a really good job on the components. They didn't skimp on the components. They didn't skip on the design. They didn't skip on the build. I'm very happy with everything I've seen so far. This runs on a 1S LiPo, which really surprised me. I thought when I took it out, I thought, well, I'm just going to be able to cruise around with it because it's not going to have enough power to do anything on a 1S. I was wrong. Okay, it will pull big wide loops. I would say it has a little bit better than a 1-to-1 thrust to weight ratio. So I was able to do big wide loops with it. I was able to do rolls with it just fine. I was able to do split S maneuvers with it. I've got some adjustments I'm going to make on the linkage. Once I get it flying exactly how I want it, I will post my setup for it. So you guys can take a look at it and do the same thing if you want to. The remote control is 5-channel. The receiver is a 6-channel, it states. So mine is mode 2. It has throttle and rudder on the left stick, aileron elevator on the right stick. It has a 3-position switch for the flight modes for the gyro. It has fully stabilized mode 6G. Then it has a 3D mode. And as far as I can tell, and I love the 3D mode on this plane, as far as I can tell, the 3D mode is just a wind mitigation mode. I could not tell any feedback from the gyro in 3D mode other than wind mitigation, and that's what I love. And it also has a full manual mode. Okay. And then you have the button. You have a button for, letting the computer do the rolls and the loops, I believe is what it states in the manual. I don't care for those features. You could flip it into 3D mode, perform your roll, perform your loop, perform your split S maneuver if you want, and then if you want to, you just flip the switch back into fully stabilized mode. I think that's the easiest way to do it. And then it has a channel for turning the LED lights on and off. It has a red LED on the bottom near the tail. It has a white LED near the front of the aircraft. And it has red and green LEDs on the wingtips, so it's well lit up. I fly during the day, so I just turn off the LEDs. It's not a big deal for me. But if you want to fly it at night or at dusk or whatever, you should be able to see it without any problems with all those lights on it. Says the flight control distance is 200 meters with the stock TX. The farthest I've had mine away is about 150 meters. That's plenty far away. It gets really small at 150 meters. I don't typically fly any further away than that with these microplanes. And with my larger planes, I typically don't go more than 200, 250 meters away. Okay, I like close proximity flying. That's what I like to do. Okay, so we talked about all that. All right, so let me bring up what comes in the box. Okay, so you get the transmitter, as you can see. Now that little dial with the buttons on it at the bottom right-hand corner of the transmitter, I assume that just molded in there for different capabilities of transmitters. Those buttons don't do anything. You've got your 3-position switch on the top right-hand shoulder, and then the other button for the LEDs is on the top left-hand shoulder, and then your sticks. You got all your trims and everything. It takes 4 AA batteries. I think in the specs it states AAA, but they're actually 4 AA batteries. Okay, so the assembly of the plane, before we go over everything that was in the box, the assembly of the plane, the horizontal stabilizer, the rudder, the vertical stabilizer, they're all already, attached to the plane. The tail wheels attached to the plane. The linkage for the elevator and the rudder are already there. The only thing that you have to do is slide in the landing gear. It does come with a retaining screw for the landing gear. You have one cable from the servo on the main wing that you plug into the board, and then the lead for the LEDs for the wingtips plug into the board. Then you have a plastic tab in the front that secures the front of the wing and a single screw that goes in the back, and then the ends of the 2 plastic struts just slot into the keepers on the side of the fuselage, and that's it. That's all there is for the assembly. It's a piece of cake. The linkage and everything for the ailerons is already attached and ready to go. So that's all I had to do. Then charge up the battery, and that was it. So in the box, of course, you get the plane, you get the transmitter, you get a spare prop, you get a screwdriver. One thing that it didn't mention, I think, in the specs was you also get a little Allen wrench, which you can use to loosen and remove the prop and tighten the prop adapter back up. It has a little hole on the end of the keeper for the prop, so the Allen wrench works well for that. They also send a spare set of 3 spacers for props with different size hubs, including the 5mm hub. Comes with the battery, comes with the manual, and the manual explains everything really well, so you don't have to worry about that. And then it comes with the USB charger for the battery, if you don't have a separate charger for your battery. Okay. So now let's look at the board. And right here you can see I've got a line that shows you exactly where the aileron attaches. Just make sure that you got the pins on the sockets and on the connectors, they're offset. So just make sure that you got the connector oriented in the proper direction to line up with the pins and the sockets. You don't want to bend those pins. LEDs are the same way. Now the ailerons have 3 wires, right? And the LEDs just have 2. So you're not going to mistake one of those sockets for the other. And then over on the bottom, as it's oriented on the screen, at the bottom, the 2 open sockets near the bottom, the side of the fuselage, those are for your DSM or S-Bus receivers if you want to add one to use a different transmitter with. So a lot of features about this plane which are really, really great. I think a lot of thought went into it. Okay, so let me see here. The picture I want to show you next. Okay, so this is the battery compartment. You want to open up your battery compartment and then slot in your landing gear, and then you can see the little keeper in the front, the little plastic keeper where the screw would go to hold the landing gear in nice and snug. So it goes underneath your battery compartment hatch. So don't put it on without opening up your battery hatch, otherwise you'll have to remove it. And ask me how I know that. I won't say. But anyway, okay. So now let's look at the motor compartment. There's the motor. You can see the prop adapter on there, just like any prop adapter that you would have for a standard 3mm shaft airplane motor. You know what I mean? So a torquey little motor. I was really surprised with that size prop. Okay, so now let's take a look. Here is they also put a panel in the bottom of the fuselage that you can remove if you need to get in and modify the linkage on the servos, or if you need to remove a servo or whatever. It was nice that they put a hatch in there so you could get to that linkage and get to the servos. In case you ever need to replace a servo or you need to change the linkage, you're not having to cut foam out of your fuselage to be able to get to them. So, like I said, it was a well thought out airframe. All right, so now let's take a look. This is where the struts slot in. They've got these little black keepers that are glued into the side of the fuselage, and you've got these little square pieces of plastic attached to the ends of the struts, and those just slot in from the top, easy peasy. So it makes it really easy to disconnect the struts, take the screw out of the back of the wing, and you've got the entire wing back off of it again if you ever need to take the wing off, and attach a receiver to the board. So yeah, they really thought all this out well, and I love these big, large foam tires that they've got for the main landing gear, and the rear tail wheel is a nice rubberized tail wheel. It's not one of those little thin solid plastic, crappy little tail wheels. It's actually a rubberized tail wheel. So it's well thought out. They put good equipment in it, including the 3.7 gram servos, and still kept it sub 100 gram. I think they did a fantastic job with that. But anyway, there'll be links to it in the show notes. Like I said, they're dirt cheap. I think for the price, I think this little plane is a steal. Stay tuned for the videos, the flight videos. Anyway, stay tuned for those. I'll be posting those flight videos soon. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the air.